And so I think we have to answer those questions first. And so I guess I look at Platonic path as meta-political. I'm not getting involved in contemporary democratic politics and telling you who to vote for or what to do. But I think people need to return to these sort of first principles and look at politics in the traditional way, right? That means going back to Plato and understanding the roots of politics and what makes a polity, what makes a people, and what makes laws good, and why should we structure our society the way that we do. And even Aristotle's a great source for that. So we really go back to those sources as our politics. We're not just looking at, the political pundits of today. Our political pundits are Aristotle and Plato. We want to read them and understand politics from their perspective and then bring that forward. But I also look at the church community as our polity, right? That is our group of people. That is our politics. And what matters most to me is the politics of the community and how we organize as a group and as a community. And then, there's a other question of how does that church polity relate itself to the broader rest of the world and politics at large, right? So those are some other questions there. And so those are the kind of political questions that I guess I'm concerned about, not necessarily, everyday contemporary politics or the sort of news cycle politics that happens every day. Yeah, I'll just add to that too, that, in Platonism, we talk about the three parts of the soul a lot, that we've got the rational part of our soul, the thumatic part, which is that spirited part that concerns itself more emotional and more focused on honor. And then there's our appetitive part that's, concerned with our appetites and our base desires. And when we're talking about politics is very thumatic. It's very about that spirited part. And it's very easy, especially in our contemporary world, to get swept away in politics in this emotional way. And all of the politicians know this, by the way. They're manipulating people's emotions. I mean, we've all been through a voting cycle, an election cycle, and just saw the emotional manipulation that goes on where, spirits are high during an election season and everyone's up in arms at each other. It's very emotional. And really what Platonism is offering people is a way out of that nonsense and to say, you shouldn't get swept away in the emotion. And the only way that you can do that is if you know yourself, and you know yourself by attaching yourself to that rational part of your soul and not getting swept away in the motions of the moment and the thing that's just passing, that ephemeral aspect of politics. It's really used to manipulate us more than anything. And that's why Platonism is so central, where we have to ground ourselves in that rational pursuit of truth, even when emotions are high and even when people are being swept up in the moment. We have this thing to return to where it grounds us. And that means that, from the outside looking in, I think we look a lot less political than a lot of these other pagan groups, but it's because we're not here to get swept up in the emotional waves of today or tomorrow. We're trying to ground ourselves in these eternal truths and in the tradition that grounds them.